Alright, in today's video we're going to be talking about how to actually sell coloring books on Amazon KDP from someone who actually sells coloring books. So in today's video we're going to be taking a look at why it is not good enough to just follow hot niches, jump on the bandwagons, and certainly not good enough to get momentarily excited by unrealistic niche videos on YouTube. So I have a 3-step process that is pretty specific to coloring books. Step number 1 is finding the niche with buyer traffic. Step number 2 is finding the angle and or your keywords, and step number 3 is testing your book to that broad audience. So I'm going to go over all of this and use examples as we go through this video. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Chris. I have been actively publishing for over 10 years. I've kind of settled on creating and building a coloring book brand over the last 2 to 3 years, and I want to be able to give people the reality behind selling these type of books, what type of results that you can expect to achieve. So just for people that like seeing pages refreshed, what I'm aiming for at the moment is during these kind of off periods is to make around $200 per day, and then toward Q4 I'm looking toward making $500 to $600 per day, which is realistic for someone that is willing to take a proven approach to publishing. And if you're looking to take your publishing to the next level, I'm happy to announce that the membership for the Raydog service has gone live. If you want to check that out, if you want to join, that is chrisraydog.com. You can go and see everything that's being offered here. From day number 1, we have all the course content, you have weekly calls, proven strategies, direct feedback on your books, limited events, private Discord groups. It's pretty massive. Go and check it out. You can scroll through, see all the things that we got coming up from day number 1. So go and join that if you want to. Go ahead and join the Discord. The Discord is free to join. We already have, before the membership has even gone live, we already have success stories coming in. So go join that, see if you like the look of the service. So let's talk very quickly, and I think this is super important because it's kind of, in my opinion, the elephant in the room, and that is niche videos, and why for the most part you don't ever really see people saying that they've had any success after following these type of videos. I got nothing really against them, but they do need to be paired with the reality that they are certainly increasing the competition to direct niches and authors' books. Now, they are not paired with any reality whatsoever. Claims of up to hundreds of thousands of dollars per month from selling coloring books is just not realistic. And I get that YouTube videos are free and they're there to get clicks. I'm all about that as well. But for people that are serious about doing this for the long run, you have to pair this with the reality that you're not going to make that type of money, not for a fair while anyway. But the positives here are that you can definitely make a lot of money selling coloring books. But the thing is, what's happening here, I'm going to show you in this video how to avoid this, is that when we see a niche that's taking off, or when we see these YouTube videos or these niche softwares showing off all these different niches, we just kind of all go ahead and copy those books and then expect to make the same sales. And the reality is, if you're at this stage where you see all these niches and all these books doing well and all these YouTube videos, you're probably way too late to this party, which is why I always encourage people to do their research on Amazon so that you can find trending niches and get into them as soon as possible. So a lot of the problem here is that people kind of have this addiction to shiny objects that momentarily make them feel good. So niches that have the potential to make you $20,000, $50,000 per month. It makes you feel good momentarily, and then you go ahead, you enter into those niches, and you don't make any money because the niche is only a small part of what really matters when it comes to building a coloring book brand especially. And here's the thing, if you're just going after niches expecting to make sales, the likelihood is that you're not willing to make that little bit more effort that can make all the difference. And we have people in the Discord group that I've been talking to that have taken this approach where they are just making that little bit more effort to stand out and already seeing lots of success. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and we'll talk about step number 1. And I've spoken about this so many times, but I want to get into some more practical information and start showing some of the books that I'm working on and the things that I'm doing to change them to make them stand out. So step number 1, for most people, you have to have a niche that has buyer traffic going to it. And as previously mentioned, I don't use any of these kind of niche feeding tools. I mean, if it helps people, then it helps people, but for me, it's never helped me find niches. I do all my research on Amazon. So you can get yourself a couple free extensions that we're going to use on Chrome in just a second to identify these niches that we can get into. So basically all we want to do is work out if the concept is proven, as in has it had sales for a prolonged period. Now people seem to think that niche research has to be this truly in-depth crazy thing, and it doesn't have to be, and I'm going to explain why as we go through this video. So I'm going to give you an example from an upcoming case study that we're going to have inside of the membership to explain how this works in more detail. But when it comes to a proven concept, let's take a look at mandala coloring books. Everyone has seen these. Loads of people have made books about these. There's books like this being uploaded every day. This isn't new. Like all these books being uploaded, it's nothing new. It happens all the time, and for the most part, 9 out of 10 people just make the same stuff and then don't make any sales, right? So there's a way of doing this, and let's try and explain that as we go through this video. So we're just going to use, this is very simple. We're going to take a couple independently published mandala coloring books and to establish that there is buyer traffic going to them. So we don't want to look at ones that are too old. So this one is way too old. We'll take a look at something that's been published in maybe the last couple of years. We don't want to click on anyone's sponsored listing, so let's just find something from the first page. So let's just use this book as an example here. So this was from 2020. Now all I want to do is just scroll down and just make sure that this has been selling for a long time. So if something's been selling for a long time, it's going to say to me that this is indeed a proven concept that people are going to want for a long time. So this is the easy part. This is where we're getting it all wrong, in my opinion, right? This has been selling on and off for a very long time, but recently it started selling really well, which is a bit strange. But what we can see is that this is a proven concept. That's all that I care about, is that people are buying mandala coloring books. That's what I care about. Now, am I just going to jump and create? Let me give you an example. So what I'm not going to do, and if we come to the most recent results here for mandala coloring books, I'm not going to do anything like this here. Okay, all these type of books that have just been recently uploaded, they are, in my opinion, low quality, and as you can see, they probably have no chance of making sales. Okay, as you can see, 10 million rankings, 6 million, millions. The rankings for these books are terrible, and there's a reason why these people aren't making sales. Is because they're doing what's already been done and expecting to make it the same type of sales. Now we can make some minor adjustments to our books to massively increase our chances of making sales. So that is step number one, and trust me, this is pretty much my fundamental look at selling specifically coloring books on Amazon, which is going to move us into step number two, is finding your angle and or your keywords. So logic is going to dictate your chance of selling something will go down if you are just copying someone else's idea. Now this is what a lot of these niche videos do, is that they promote this idea, well, not directly promote, but what ends up happening is that people will just make the same book, the same book, the same book, the same book, and then end up with absolutely terrible results. So what we're going to be doing is taking the broad niche and presenting the typical audience with something that they might be interested in that is different to what exists. So that's a bit of a word salad, but hopefully this is going to make sense. So what I mean by that is giving an angle to your book. So we'll talk about the keyword angle in just a second, but your angle can be as simple as your book cover or a logical addition to that niche. So I'm going to head over to a sort of kind of pre-case study that I'm doing for the membership. So this is by no stretch of the imagination finished. We're going to go through that in the membership properly in a proper case study. So what I have here, and this is a book that I meant to publish a few months ago, but what has happened, obviously everyone knows about these kind of squarish books. There's so much traffic going to these bold, and there's so much competition going to these bold and easy books, and specifically mandalas. People are doing it, right? This has already been done. I've been lazy because I've been working on something else. I didn't publish this book. Now, this is a great opportunity to take a proven concept, which is the mandala coloring book, and give it an angle that the audience hasn't seen before. So in this case, since the book is already made, the only angle that I can really take is keywords and the book cover. So what we're working on at the moment, and before anyone tries to copy this, this is nowhere near finished, so feel free to copy this exact design because it's not going to look anything like this. So this is the way that I do things. I'll take a design, I'll duplicate the page inside of Canva, then start changing a few things like the font, like the effect on the font, like the background, as you can see here. I'll start changing this and just see how it looks. And I'll keep going through this again and again and again until it looks right, because I want to give my book the best chance of selling possible. So for example, we'd come through, start testing different fonts and just see how this ends up looking. So I do actually have near the final version of this. What I've actually done is hand this back to the person that created the interior for this book, and they've gone with this kind of structure, but they've made it look a lot nicer because this is kind of the placeholder image, I guess you would call it. So here's the way that I want people to think of it when they're creating their coloring books. So I've shown this off in my videos before, but I really want to emphasize the importance of getting people to click on your books. If your book is very average, below average in these niches that people have done before, that have got hundreds, thousands of reviews to their books, then you're not going to stand out. You're not going to get the click. You're not going to get a conversion. When you start getting clicks, when you start getting conversions, that's when Amazon's going to prioritize your book, keep you ranked, and then push you out to other ranking positions as well. So the way that I want you to visualize this is by saying, let's say that this is the first page. I've just quickly taken a screenshot of some of the other mandala coloring books here. Now, the way that you want to visualize this is when your book is waiting to get launched onto the first page for the keywords that you're trying to target. Let's just add our book in here. Now, let's say that we've just published the book here. The book is waiting to get ranked on the first page. So typically, after you start getting a few sales from your ads, your book is going to get ranked onto the first page for certain keywords, right? So when you get there, it is imperative that you give your book the best chance possible of getting clicked on. So I do this generally for pretty much every book that I release, is kind of have things set out like this, and then just take my book and visualize what it's going to look like when it gets ranked onto the first page. Okay, so what we can see, if we put that in here, now I take a look at this and I say to myself, does it add something different, something unique, something better than the competition? And it's standing out at the moment to me. Like, I do generally think the big mandala sign is standing out, and the final book cover hopefully is going to create that effect massively and start getting those clicks. Okay, because what people are doing, you would have seen Meg's books here. People just come in, they copy the exact same thing that Meg's been doing and other similar publishers, and hope to make the same, have the same success, right? So it does sometimes work like that. It's not a good thing to do because your chances of making sales will go down, and obviously if you copy someone too closely, you're probably going to be in for a bad time. So the point here would be is that if we rank our books from just getting, you know, $50 to $100 of advertising spend, whatever the amount may be, when it gets here, people see it and they think, oh, this is different, this is a new style, I've not seen this before, it must be better than the competition. We get them inside of our listing. That is the priority. Get them in the listing, and then we sell them with a competitive price, good description, good A+ content, etc., etc. Now, you might be asking yourself, what's the whole keyword thing about? Do I need to do that as well? The answer is you don't need to do it, but I'm going to show you something here what you can do. So what is going to happen is that when a hot niche or a hot keyword comes around, is that people start to target the exact same keywords. Okay, so this is typical sheep type of publishing, where this 90% of people do this, right? We'll take a niche, they'll copy the niche, copy the keywords, and then expect to see the same results, right? So I'll give you a different perspective here, and that perspective is that there's not one keyword that people are searching for that will have the same interest in your book. Okay, so for example, if we have the kind of mandala coloring books for adults, for this niche, what you're going to find that people are going to try and target is just bold and easy coloring books, and that's a really hard phrase to get ranked for now. Like, everyone knows about that. People are applying books to that keyword every single day. I'm going to give you two considerations here. The second one is pretty crazy, and it's something that I'm exploring more in the membership, which is about using your advertising keywords to create your new books. Okay, so in this case, before we get ahead of ourselves, we can use Amazon's search bar just to target something different but still remains in the niche. So for example, while everyone else might be targeting bold and easy coloring books, now would be a chance to get in on something that's not got that push of traffic, that push of competition, sorry, not push of traffic, the push of competition going to it. Something like simple mandala coloring book or easy mandala coloring book. Okay, so the point is that we don't just use the exact same keywords that everyone else is using, because the reality is, the way, in my opinion, that Amazon works is that it will find your audiences eventually. But if we're talking about a kind of keyword to get ranked for initially, then maybe we want to look towards something different, like easy mandala coloring book, simple mandala coloring book, or just going one step further, simple mandala coloring book for adults. Okay, so I'm just going to show you inside of one of my advertising campaigns for a book that has got some products being targeted and some keywords also being targeted as well. So what I'm looking at doing is taking some of the better converting keywords and using them in my upcoming books where it makes sense to do so, as the title for their book. Okay, so for example, if we just scroll through here, so for example, we have something like easy large print coloring book here, which is converted at 2-in-1. We're not going to get too excited by that, but just as an example, what we can do here, instead of guessing which keywords to use, instead of using keyword software, we can use Amazon's actual data. For example, this would be Amazon's actual data. People are actively searching for this search term, so we can create our next book around this search term, which means when it comes to the keyword competition, it's going to go down significantly. So I actually think this is probably something people already know about, easy large print coloring books. But just as an example, we can take the keywords that aren't so typical and then start creating our books around those keywords. Okay, so like I say, we're going to be exploring that more inside of the membership and the courses inside the membership. And again, if you want to get involved with this, if you want to sign up or just check it out or join the free Discord and you want to have a chat, you want to leave me a message here, you want to check out what's inside, feel free to do that. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to have you inside the Discord and hear about your journey. But that has gone live. It went live today, whatever the date is, the 28th at the moment. That's gone live. Feel free to check that out from the description with chrisraydog.com. So now that you've found a proven concept for a niche, now that you've added your angle to that niche, whether that's the book cover, whether it's the offering that's inside that, and you've also paired that with your keyword research, are you going to go after the most broad obvious keyword? Or are you going to do something a little bit different with the keyword that you try and target? Now that you've done that, it is time to test the response to your angle and your niche. So here's what I do. I launch my book with ads. I create all of this, the proven concept, add the angle to it, whatever it is, launch your book with your advertising campaigns, and then test to see if the audience like your angle. Because what a lot of people will do in this case is that they will create a book, they will run advertising campaigns for a very, very long time, hoping that at some point their book is going to take off. And it is possible that this will happen, but for the most part, people don't have the understanding as to what a good book is. And I have seen people's books, I've seen what people have been sending me, and they're spending so much money on ads hoping for a miracle. So you have to monitor the response inside of your advertising account. Take a look at the conversions, take a look at your cost per click, take a look at your organic rankings, things like that. Because at some point you have to make a decision. Once you've pushed this book into the marketplace during a honeymoon period, you're saying to the customers, do you like what you see? Then at that point, you're either going to say yes or no, I'm going to carry on with this book. So you have to make a decision if you want to continue a project or not, and then move on to the next one. So for example, I would say around 2 of the last 6 or 5 books that I've published have been successful and the other 3 have not. So they get cut off, the other 2 go on to make a ton of sales, and they go on to make a ton of sales during Q4 as well. So I'm not getting emotionally attached to every single book project that I create. Accept the losses, they are a very real part of the game. So I can completely appreciate that this is not necessarily immediately obvious for people that are starting out or people that are struggling, and what someone that's been doing it for 10 years can see is slightly different to what someone that's been doing it for 10 weeks can see, which is why we've opened up the Discord service, the Raydog service, so that we can give you that feedback on your books and help you go into a direction that is going to increase your chances of making sales. So that's it for this video. Go ahead and check out the service, check out all the course content from day number 1. It's going to be fantastic. We're going to have the weekly live calls so that you can get feedback on your books and get yourself into a winning position. So that's it for the video. I'll see you very soon.